Yeah, but I do.
But there's just one down there, get moisture. Well, they kind of like a circle in the middle of the lawn because they come in. Once you go turn across the stick around.
For today's class, we have a pretty short lecture. For this part will be about security design principle, and after this, I will go back if you still remember our previous lab. So we work on the second attacking method, so the XSS. So actually, we have multiple. If you still remember, we talk about we have the store SSS we're going to do, and then we fetch and also the DOM. So we have 3 different types. So for today, I will cover one more for our lecture. And then I already post the new assignment. So it's just mainly some questions about the IAM, the file permissions, just using a numeric and symbolic. But I changed the requirement. So when you answer it, remember to change to 4 digits and 10 letters. So when I am telling you we are doing in 3 digits, but for assignment, always I change a little bit. So of course, I will just show you the questions and where's the 4 digits and 10 letters for representing those numeric and symbolic representing file permission. Okay, so let's start our today. For the security design principle, always we need to think about simplicity, restriction, and based on this, what are the possible principles and we need to decide. You will hear a lot. We say the least privilege. Always I try to, especially we apply to our file permission access, and also fail-safe defaults, economy of mechanism, and also complete mediation and open design, separation of privilege. Also least common mechanism and the least extraneous. So will be these all the possible example mechanism principles will apply for system design. Okay. First, simplicity. So we look at it. So let's say less to go wrong. So just yeah, and just few possible inconsistencies and easy to understand. So so far, just make everything we say simple, and maybe we set up the firewall rules. If you want to make it simplicity, less to go wrong. So what the possible way? Just set to everything to all. Just globally, we maybe for income access, if you want to make it really simple, just block all the income access, right? Simple. And and maybe when we need some special, or just open those. So that's how we think. So it's try to avoid fewer possible inconsistent. So if we know always we do the same, applying all the rules. So sometimes we say the global rules or default rules, so always the same, or the have a highest restriction. That's what we're trying to do. Okay. And for the restriction, so we come and say, okay, so minimize the access. So that inhibit the communication. So that's the 2 things we do. Always just same idea, make it simple and restrict the most. And unless we grant extra access, maybe in a company or in an organization, you always get that basic, maybe you're allowed to read the files or able to access. Sometimes the doors, suppose you're not allowed to access anything, but unless you get the permission. So that's a design idea, restriction and simplicity. Okay, so I think it's not that difficult to understand this part. And the least, okay, so the least privilege. So it just try to give only those privilege necessary to complete its task. If we need to think about less the least privilege, then we need to think about the one thing is the function. So not the the identity, controls, and right added as needed, discard after use, and then minimal protection domain. So right here is a function. So really need to think, because compared with simplicity, we don't care about like who are those users, what the actual work they're doing, just like minimal. Okay, or like to general situation. But when we really go to like really some functions, need to think, okay, if we need to have a script, like let's say we take an example, we use we try to have a execute file, maybe it's a Node.js file, which is allowed for the web server or like API server or any other different type of purpose. Then we need to, based on the functions, then we need to think, okay, what kind of privilege, like which are allowed for this file, like who can execute it. So then it would be kind of like we need to consider because possible right need to add. And what's the expiry time or something like that? Is it forever or like within certain period? And then like maybe after I for some service or application need to grant the access, right? The privilege to modify this file, execute, run this file. But after I finish this process, that I need to release it or I have to remove it. So we need to think about this. Okay. And then for here, we say we have the like the related things about principal list authority. So the polar. So this one was like just like consider as the same as like the list privilege. So but there is some like slightly different. Like make a distinction is like permission control. So what's like subject can do to an object directly. So it's like what's the permission, like who can control it? So this authorized. So it's more likely from a user, like who can not really user, but certain subject can be maybe some user like user group, maybe also some other files is possible. Then we need to decay, and then the authority control, which the influence a subject has over an object, so directly or indirectly through other subject. Because it's possible, like we have different application, we like calling other function, or like we try to include other files include another files. It's kind of like a chain. So maybe that depends on others. So how can they have or like being authorized to access or like execute those files? Okay. And another one is called fail safe default. So we just like default action is to deny access. So if an action fails, then system are secure. That's when the action began. Okay. Sometimes if you check one of the idea, like if you look at some firewall settings, so maybe for some outgoing bound or something, we always call deny. So if you know it's like allow and deny. So most of the time we will deny most of the like some outer domain or somehow will be like maybe from the WAN access to the LAN. So we will do the deny. So this way, because we try to let all the action fail, say don't let you do it unless we have a specific need or like we really need to open it, then you can do it like manually to open it. But by default, the system, just like once you really turn on when we talk about sometimes firewall, if you know for firewall, we have like physical hardware, also we have a software. So do you know this one? Do you know because I show you that like AWS, we have the security inbound rules, right? Or like that Ubuntu that you have the those are more likely is just like software firewall. But if you want to get some like physical one, I'm not sure if have ever seen Cisco is like a very famous brand that produce also all the like networking devices. They do selling some called the firewall. So if you go to a store or like purchase online, so they are physical hardware. Maybe the shape look like router or something. So maybe if you plug in your router, like most of the time you do like this, but maybe for some company they want to like have a higher security, then they say, okay, let me purchase a firewall. So for those it's a physical device. So those like they will help you to already by default they will already have a setup. So you just like pop in. So the WAN comes in, probably into this firewall, and this firewall connect to your router. And those firewall already have like those setting. Most of the time, we always have one of the mechanism that we apply. So fail-safe default. So that's what I'm doing. And then, okay, another one is economy of mechanism. So just like keep it as simple as possible. So they call it as a keys principle. There are different, but most I just like keep it as simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, yeah. So make it stupid. So that's the idea. Like, I think everybody can get this one. Just like similar means like less can go wrong. So it's like kind of really similar to simplicity. Make it simple, stupid, so easy. We don't think that much. Like we don't have to consider too many situation, condition. Okay, everyone is not allowed. Just like a door. Once I lock it or like don't allow any others come, then it's okay. And we need to set up like when there's some errors occur, so we are easy to understand and fix. Yeah. Because when we have high restriction, just like it just kind of makes sense if we fail it, that means that maybe the only one policy, we only have only one policy is not allowed. Then when some people able to attack it or like hack or like pass through this setting, then that means this setting has some issue. So then we are easy to check. Because like for other setting, if you know the privilege, we have like user some groups and then like file permission. If we have multiple settings, then we have to like investigate one by one. Is it because this account or because the user group, because we forgot to like remove certain user from this group, so they're allowed to like read it, or I set the wrong permission. So once we have more settings, so it's not really simple, not stupid. So it's how we have to like looking in one by one. So all these like mainly just like rely on the interface and the interaction. So we think about it. Okay. And then once I complete mediation, so check every access. Just like here's the idea. So so usually done once on the first action. So in the Unix like access check on open, but not like check thereafter. So here's the how we work for the and then if the permission change, then may get an unauthorized access. So like once we change, just like remember one thing for this one for the complete manipulation. So always I check the access. So once done, it's okay first time. But once we change it later, then we have to file. Then you need to sign again or check your authorization one more time. And what here is next one is called the open design. So open design usually talking about, okay, so when we have a security, then it's not depends on the can I remove? Yeah, okay, it's better. Okay. So right here we will have it's not really depends on the security of design or implementation, but mainly just be careful because it's not the source code like should be public, just like don't be misunderstood. So it's just security through the obscurity. Okay, so we does not apply the information such as password or cryptographic keys. So here's the idea of it. Actually, it's not really common, but we can see. Just a have idea. Yeah, it's not really common. And then next one is the separation of privilege. So for this one, we will require multiple connection to grant the privilege. So make it separate, like separation of duty, defense in the death. So this one will be saying if you like need to get certain access. In reality, you will know kind of like similar idea. So You are not saying, okay, I want to grant the access, then you can able to get it. Maybe you need to go through some like checking. In reality, some example, you need to have like, let's say background checking, right? And then they will maybe also like submit some forms in the field. So everything. So after you meet all those different conditions and like requirements, then you are able to get that privilege. If we apply on the like file level, then we need to like kind of checking. Just imagine if we need to work on the folder, then first maybe I need to check. Is it meet the one who create, or like what's the types? So all this may be possible, can be the requirements like for this access. Okay. And the list common mechanism. So this one, just like this mechanism is not really shared to others. So all this information only like flow along the shared channels. So also convert the channels. Most of the time, maybe we'll do it like for the isolation. So when we do it on the like virtual machine or the sandbox, if you know all this, then we are using this like list common mechanism. So they are not shared by others. Okay. So just like make it independent. And the last here the list as punishment. So here this mechanism just like designed for the user to understand why the mechanism works the way it does. And also using is simple. So for this one, try to just like hide the complexity introduced by the security mechanism. So we don't really care like in behind, like how actually we configure or like what's the setting, but let the user like easy to like install or configure, so they can apply it. Okay. So just try to the user directly apply those settings, or like we call those like, just imagine in reality we have some, it's a function, just thinking, okay, I have a function, I don't care this function is behind what did they do. Okay, let's say I have a sorting function that I don't really care about this sorting using divide by concrete or like quick sort, heap sort, they don't care about it. But when you just call sort, it will just help you to sort it. So it's kind of like same idea. You know, when you use different type of like advanced level, you can just call a function sort, right? So it will help you to do that. So you need to actually in behind they do have some that's what you learn how to sort it. So they just implements like maybe based on the queue or array size, and they do a sorting. So here same idea. So we just let the user to apply it. Like we can just install it or like configure it directly, but we don't have to really know how it actually work. That's always that means like human factors critical here, because it means how we use it, like when do we use it, or maybe we will on top we will modify the configuration. So maybe the itself the mechanism that the will be by default it's okay, like because when we implement we test it and then it should be like have in certain secure. But when we try to like apply by the human, because it's kind of same idea, when we use this function, maybe we will pass some parameter or change certain things, so we will increase the risk of it. And then okay, for related to this one, we have one more called the security mechanism should not be like at the difficulty of accessing resources. This is one we design try to make it we try to, if you remember, we talk about the balance of it, like balance between security and resources, right? So we need to think we have a limited maybe one thing is the cost, like money is everything, but also for easy to use. So that's why we are not letting the user most of the time to have a like hard time to access those resources. This we need to think about it. So the idealistic, just like most mechanism, has some difficulty. So you see everything just like on top. So start with the simplicity of restriction, like with the most simple, and then we just like add more on it. Of course, like when we adding more layers, the security level should be higher. Just like that one, if we apply the we have multiple like compression, just like the here. Let me see, where is it? Okay, let's say we have the separation of privilege. Yeah, it's more secure, right? Just imagine it. Maybe one of the condition is that you have to get at least 2 higher levels user permission, like grant you the access. So you have at least 2 managers, let's say, or supervisor, 1 manager, supervisor. Yes, the privilege is really high. Like safety level, like we have a high privilege to like do that, but definitely. But the one thing is when we increase the condition difficulty, but it kind of like against the purpose like we want to do is easier to access the resource because it's a time consuming. If let's say we apply different mechanism, one is like time limited. Okay, so like after you see it, then it will expire. So if every time, okay, we can like introduce a mechanism is that I apply first, I need to get 2 managers grant access, and then after I access it like first time, then the permission will be expired after 10 minutes like this. Then after if you want to log in again or like access again, you have to get the the access from your manager like one more time, like one more time. Yes, we apply several mechanisms at the same time. So we really increase the security. However, it's not, if I say if I want to just access to the file, I want to read the file, that is just maybe too much. So we say even difficult, say we try to remember the password. Even nowadays, really hard to memorize the password. So I think everyone's experienced this one. It also happened to me. So well, no, some of them I just like try to like Google or the account help me to save it. I couldn't remember the password at all. So sometimes they will generate some like strong password, like lots of combination. But I think long time ago I talked about this one. The one who introduced the idea with like uppercase, lowercase, and special character for the password. So I think it's just a few months before. Yeah, it's just a news comes out. So he came out and apologized. Actually, for those combinations, it's not that helpful or secure. So you try to increase the difficulty, like but to the human, but for the machine is not really difficult. So they say this is not really hard, but it's the length is more important than combination. So if I have like combination of like 3, I have 1 uppercase, lowercase number or special, the length but only 4 digits or 4 letters. But compared with the 10 digits or 10 letters password, it's more like it takes more time. So just we need to think about that. So this one, the principle of the list astonishment will apply, accept this one. So ask whether the difficulty is unexpected or too much for relevant population of a user. Okay, so here's like if you still remember here, this one is just like hide the complexity, just make it easy, and we just need to use it. And so for right here, so we just we have different mechanism. You can apply. Just need to know the name or some definition. Pretty short. So just like remember 1 or 2 or several example. If I ask you what are the possible principle apply for the security mechanism, then just pick up some of them. Like always say simplicity, restriction, or any of it. At least remember some of them. So also like always remember because they are example, because sometimes maybe there's some new mechanism introduced, but always I have a combination. But when we try to apply it, so just we need to analyze and design. Analysis, we need to think about like in your company or organization within that situation, which one will be better So it's not, nothing's the best, but really based on the company or like how regular often access. So that's why we have different maybe when we log in your online server, or maybe we have using password, and or like are they only limited you to using the key? Some of them they do, after you first time create a root account, they request you like the steps to create the public key, so you can only allow to access through the key, but without the password. Okay, so also when you really implement, just like for, but you see that some of them they are really just introduce the idea that mechanism, but it doesn't mean you have to really say, okay, when we apply this one to our situation, but you have some like combination. So really quick go through the other mechanism here, and we'll start to move on about the assignment. I already upload the assignment and open it, so you, wow, so quick. Okay, if let me show you. Okay. Total there will be 20 questions. If you put it familiar, I think you can finish pretty quick. I can end. Okay. So I will just ask you the first 18 question, just ask you please put the numeric and symbolic permission. So if you, let's say I just put any of it, you will see most of the time from my PowerPoint or like maybe online, but you will see I just like gave 777, right? It's pretty common, but I say put it in 4, like if I want to show in 4 digits, then how can we do that? Anybody? Yes, because okay, yeah, because you remember I didn't go into really details, but for the special it's not really difficult. So I just want to let you like study a little bit, like also through the assignment. I do have several questions is about the special, but it shouldn't be difficult. So if we put it as a 4 digits, it will be 4. Okay, so it depends on the question I gave you, like the situation. So if I say I using set user ID, then would be set UID 4, yeah. And then if I say it's a set group ID 2, okay, if that one is the sticky bit 1, yeah, and that's it. Okay, and just remember when we have something like using set UID, set group ID, we will change one of the letter. So if you remember, we have a read write execute, right? But when we have set UID, the letter change, then go back to the PowerPoint, and or like you can search online. Because those I already like described in the situation, so it shouldn't be really hard. You just have based on the situation and put it on. Okay, so that one is the UID, then you know like which one you should change it. Okay, and how about symbolic? Symbolic, here's a slightly tricky. So if I say many of them they are file, but I would like to talk about if I need to use like I say it's a 10 letters long. So it's the same idea. So it will be putting a hyphen in the front, or like if I read write execute, or like let's say I'm 7, so of them I'll be write execute, right? Like this, so it will be 10 letters. So if I change it to something else, then just replace it. Maybe like this is we access like this. Okay, so this one will be 7. What was the number numeric for this one? This. No. So what should be this one? If I give you the we will execute read execute. So what's the numerical number? 745. Yes. So you just say put 7445 like this. So it's a 4 digits, and symbolic 10 letters. So that's what we need to do because I changed the question a little bit. So just like follow the question and tell you, okay. Because in my PowerPoint, sometimes I give you an example, I always give you only 3 digits and then with like 9 letters, this one. But when we have an idea of special bit, like all those like special one, then we will change it to like 4 letters. 4 digits and 10 letters, just so I remember this one. Okay, and sometimes, yep.
So I noticed like when working in like, the Linux terminal and stuff with the Ubuntu.
Mhm.
Whenever you're looking at the permissions, then sometimes like symbolic, that first letter will be like, it'll be D.
Yes,
for the
this is what I want to say.
versus files.
Mm.
Because the file's just a dash, and then the D is for directory, so then does it add another one to show a special permission, or is it just that one?
This, yeah, just B is a directory, is the symbolic for the D, yeah.
So if you have a directory that had a special permission on it, then does it add an 11? Or
Numeric, but for the if mainly is the numeric. So that's why it comes like with the numeric and symbolic. Symbolic, you see, yeah, because when you ask this question, this is what I want to talk. Yeah,
okay,
say.
no, that makes sense, because, okay, no, the special permission one goes inside of like the user group or.
Yeah,
other-
yeah. And so that's a good question because that's what I want to say. You will see one, the first part is like, for the files, right? The files we have the say user like is an execution because just think about what's the special, that one, the special one, special bit. So because you already mentioned, will be execute, what's the set user group, set user, set group, yeah, because I always say together, say set user and set group, right? And sticky bit. So they are all limited to a file of folder.
Can they not go though? Or is it just files?
Because they say allowed to change it, is a the user can change it. But when you see is in numeric, because some but one thing is like in symbolic, oh, here's a tricky thing, it's like, of course, a file you will see is a dash, right? So it's a hyphen over there. But if it's a directory, because like if it is a directory, the word is always showing directory, so it won't change something else. So it comes with the D, it's a folder. Okay. So if we really have something, then we need to check the numeric. Okay. Yeah. So that's what we have to know. Okay. Yeah. So sometimes we have that numeric or something. If not sure, then we need to check, right? Okay, this one was the actual numeric that is set as we use it. Okay. But very so far I never see the case like this. Yeah. Never. We won't really say this. Depends on Unix or Linux system, but so far they're not really setting to the folder provision because nothing can like allow to, because the folder itself, it doesn't make sense and or like contradict it. Nothing to execute, all right. Because the folder itself is no action you can do because it's, we use applying the special bit is to showing, okay, only the user or the group, like the one that
Only the owner can.
get owner to edit, like modify. Yeah, so that's why you see the why the last the letter, I won't let you to check. We replace the X to another letter, right? But do you remember which letter?
No, that's like, that's for, but is S for user ID and group ID or?
If I say user ID, I say I will use the set ID, then I will replace the X in the user to S. If I also like change it to group, then also I change the group X, the one I like in the group to S, right? So if you look at the example, that's how it works. Okay. And here is the example for like just like telling you how to do it in 4 digit. Okay, so the 4 digit and 10 letter. So but so far I think most of the question I put is the file, so I don't really ask the directory. So if you refer to the here, So right here, I will all the files and you will see the directory. So if you look at the example right here, and so here's will be telnet test and with the right. Okay. Okay. So if sometimes if you have a question or if you are not so sure, you are like always like feel free to like check your system or try it by yourself. Like if you say a file and then say, then how can you do that? Okay. So here's the question about the
I missed on that, when you did LSTFL,
um
on some of the files down below, at the end, there was the 10 digits, but then there was also the @ sign.
assign,
The
assign,
the swirl.
assign. Okay.
I was wondering what that was.
A special one. Okay, yeah. And I barely check the Windows. How about Windows or Mac? Is it same? That's my question because I never use. I barely use the Windows to use it. Anybody can help me to check. I'm curious. Like, how about the Windows? Because you know, Mac OS is using a Unix. So it's like based on this one. So you can see that's why like Mac can execute most of the command like your server Ubuntu, but Windows is so weird and not the same way. So I'm pretty sure still I barely check that one. So anybody can help me to check the window right now. How does it show up? Okay. So there's an example. Yeah, I saw there's somebody already submitted. I think it's pretty quick. Okay, so if you have no question about the assignment, I give you more than time by 2 weeks, so 20 questions. So I don't think it's a really difficult assignment, and you should able to finish this all because when also you will have this type of question for your final too, like in your exam. So try to getting kind of familiar with this time. Sometimes just like be careful. Maybe I would say, okay, just put 3 digits, 3 digits. So it's not difficult, like for this file permission, like it's pretty straightforward. Okay. So, and also it's really hard to like say challenge because like all these like for security things, we need to make it really clear. Like user can what kind of permission for user, what permission for the group or like for others, like the global. Because I can't really make it like ambiguous. So just like when you look at the question and based on this type, yep.
So I remember going through this on the lecture portion from weeks ago. We had like on number 2, you had anyone else at the end of that statement. And I remember specifically there was I have to look down and see number 11 says the final statement is and readable by everyone else, and you had specifically mentioned that your reference to everyone else is that third bit, or because it goes owner, group, and then everyone else, right? And so we've gotten confused, I think, quite a few of us, we said, oh, the owner has full access and everyone else has read, right? And so then we were thinking, oh, it's gotta be a 744, but really you meant it to be a 70 because you didn't say anything about the group. And so I want to make sure that if we, because that could be easily misinterpreted, so I wanted to make sure.
Okay,
that
okay.
if everyone else, is that just that sole bit portion right there?
Okay. Your this question I like to hear because when you confuse maybe not only you but others. So I'd like to hear others. How do you think? Where I say anybody else like only read only. Okay. So why I only say user but not a group? Can you like explain why it makes sense? Or like based on what you did, like based on the assignment, I asked you like to create a file, create a new user, and also like working on some groups. And why I would say group is 0 or no assets. Why does it really happen? Just guess. Yes. But why I say everyone, then at least there should be a user have a full access. Like it's read, write, execute.
The only thing I think is if you just have, you know, you have the manager or the owner of the file, but then you have a team, and the team is considered the group.
Mhm.
Then anyone else in the company can be everyone, and so if you
Yeah,
say the owner has access, but there's no groups, so everyone just has access.
We have maybe, it's possible that no groups, right? So when you create an account, okay, is it possible that the file exists, but no user to create? Is it possible? In the system, is it possible?
There should always be at least, I mean, one user, I mean, if not root.
Yeah, also root also maybe for some surface, but you know when you create a file, it's still possible that there should be like a user. Maybe even an application, it should be under a certain user account. Or like we create a one user for this application or this service to execute some command, right? So we can't have something file created by nobody and then it just comes up. Yeah. So it is impossible. There's a file like no user to create. So that's why we have kind of like implicit ideas. When we have a file exists, then always should have a user. And by default, we always have a highest privilege for that file. So it's the user always have a save and read write execute, right? So you are the one who create this file. And if we didn't mention anything, it should be by default will be 7. Okay. And why not I only give you the condition is okay, we only allow the global or say others, everyone, the terms we use have a read only. Okay. So that means the others, the global have a read only. But we didn't say anything about the group. Okay. So here's like in this sentence, it represents because when we create a user, it's possible we didn't assign any group to this user, right? So that means that this user create a file, but it doesn't belong to any group in your system. So it's like empty groups, or it maybe belongs to some groups, right? Maybe this user account under multiple groups is still possible, right? Okay, so if we didn't declare, then we just like not allow any like groups to access it. So it's okay to answer your question.
So
Okay.
I think for like an example, so like question 9 from the assignment
Mhm.
is you want a directory to be writable and executable by everyone, but only readable by the owner. So you're gonna have like your number for the user and a number for other, but then group is gonna be a 0.
Because I didn't.
Because everyone applies to the other.
Yes, the global, yeah, yeah. So yeah, so I just like try to explain more why group can be 0 because I create. We should have a user, but group can be omit or I just like didn't exist. So that's why we look at group and user. They are not the same. Okay, you can belong to a group or you may not belong to the group. Okay, maybe you're the owner of this group, but you are not belongs. You can be the owner. Create this file like anybody create this file, maybe the owner. But after you own it, also you can change the owner, right? No, the owner, yes, we can change it, modify. So how can we change it? CH own, right? So if you remember the comments I use, CH own. So the one is using the recursive -r, and then I can say if you look at my example, I put the format like this one. So first one is the user, second is the group. But if I remove it like this, still okay. Let's say like this. Okay, so it get the file. So this one, that means the first one would be the user. So I didn't assign any group to it. So you can say the group is like nothing, 0 or --555. It's okay. Okay.
So something I was wondering with this, so if you have like if you are setting a user in a group for ownership of a directory or file. So you can set the user but if that user is not part of the group that you're also setting, is that allowed or would the user have to be part of the group that's also being set?
Okay, so
if you have the Ubuntu
yeah.
www data.
Mhm.
then Ubuntu wasn't a member of
The
that.
W-
group.
yeah, of
Is that still okay?
Yeah, then depends on the access. So let's say I give it, I say put 054, let's say like this. Even if the user I create this file, but I have no access. I cannot read, I cannot write, or even I cannot execute this file. So
Okay.
yeah, even it not belongs to, like, I create it, okay, it belongs to me, I own it, but I don't have access to it.
So then if you did have 054, but Ubuntu was part of. the
Yes,
group, then it would still be.
Yes, yes, yeah, if you're part of the group, then because it belongs to the group. Yeah, but it's just like it doesn't make sense. Like for this situation, like just like for we call the like edge case, like yeah. But if you try to not allow the user access, but you assign to this user to this group and allow to create it, so why don't you let the user do it? So these are tricky things, but for just like a question is a question, okay. But in reality, it's barely sometimes like. In reality, we barely doing this way, but just for study, just let you know, okay, if I saying, yeah, in the document, I think I never see, so I allow the user to do that as a creator. Okay, so if in case in some question, maybe some of you will finish, and if you need to ask, maybe you fill the question in backwards, or you have another way to interpret, then you can send me an email or the next slide. Because I have 2 weeks, so you can, if you have any question about the assignment, you can just like feel free to ask me like in the class, or let others to like, I can make it like clarify to you. Okay, yeah. And next, okay. Try not to keep the. Okay. So right here, let me copy. In the second one, I don't think I upload all this, so you can refer to it. I try not to, because as a project, so you can refer to the PowerPoint, or other way, or like search it, and also maybe check my video. So the video, so you can see the code right here. So this one is for called the store XSS. I using just like using same like Express for the API server, because I want to like checking using like try to create the API service. So that one, and then I require another modules. No modules is called the body phaser. So it just help me to encode the content. So right here, and right here the server I have an array. Let's say because the comments, maybe I upload like multiple comments. And one of apps I will try to do the body face help me to enter encode. So this one. And I create there's a two API route. So one is called a post. So I save it. So once I have a body, I post the content, the comment, and I save it, and then I do the redirection / like back to the homepage, stay on same. And then one is a get. So this moment I try to get, so I will return a form. So this form will have like the method using post, and they have an action called save. So this one will push the content. Okay, here's a function I call and save it value. And then I just like running the comments that array using jump function. Because for the cybersecurity, I'm not really teaching the Node.js, so you can just like follow the example. But for others, you have more chance, like for web programming, you see this one, the function, like we call it ES6, to handle with the array. So we can join it with all the like the BR is a breaking line, so it's a little line. Okay, so right here, so you will see all the content. So I just running my server at localhost 3000. Okay. Just execute this one. It should be the second one. Okay. And I just run the local host. Let's see if I have still have a cache. Okay, so it's empty. So if you, let's say I input like first like item 1, so I will save it like item 2. Okay. If I try to attach the content, like if you still remember, so we use pretty a lot. So if you like doing for your project, you can also just like inject the like script alert, because it's pretty easy to let you see. So it will pop out notification. Okay. And just like press submit, it will show up. Okay. XSS. Okay. So let's say if I a new user and then I try to like put one more things, 3, it pops out one more time. So it's called the store XSS. So once I inject this script and save it, I store it on my server side, right? So every time any other users always redirect to this one. Okay, so I will execute this the script and then it will always have redirect. So because this one is mainly because I already store it on my server side, I'm not really sometimes like based on every time I just post anything to a server, I will deliver this content to you. So this one is really kind of dangerous. If you remember the reflector one, is that I post it and then just send it back. So it just have that as one time. So maybe you refresh or somehow it will be gone. But for this one, once my server like, then you maybe ask a question. So you see right here, right? Oh, okay, I go back to the form. You will see it's the empty things, because this array is saved as stored script is empty. But I have something right here, so you can see the space, right? And let's say if I ask a question, if I refresh it, how do you think? If I refresh my page, so you see, good. When every time when I refresh it, because I load it, if you look at the source code right here, so the comment, this one I will save array. So every time when I execute and join it, I will always execute that script like that with the alert. So it always pop up the alert. So this one always safe on the server. Of course, like when I stop it, it's not going to happen, because when I stop the service, it's like clear. So it's just like if you know the OS something, that one. So we just say release from the memory. So it's not existing anymore. For this one, the XSS, and then okay, I just keep it first. Okay, and I will show you one more. Wait, look at here, and then I will execute. Missing something. see if we're missing something. Something. 7. Okay, let me fix it later. See. We'll make something out. Output. Let me fix it quickly. Space. Same. Function bundle. Okay. I need to text one more time if something hidden right here. 35. Something. Script. Maybe I changed something wrong. Let me fix this one and share it later. This one, the mainly is we doing is called the DOM. So when we try to post it, so we try to attach the new script to it. So you will see for testing. Let me share this one later with the updated script. But mainly how did we do that? It's like we try to attach one more script. So we're passing a link. So we should allow us to like the server to like encrypt with the that's why we call the DOM. The DOM is the one of the we apply to build our HTML. So the HTML is sometimes we build it with the DOM, that means we're showing all the elements. So everything right here belongs to possible to build a DOM. Okay. So that's how we did. So if you know the path, so it's like by default, and then we pass the parameter. Sometimes if you check the URL link, it looks like this. So it belongs to like certain of the point. If you see some pages, like they will mark with some marking, so it's just a one-page website, but you click on the link, then it will jump to certain section of it. So we just like same idea. But this one we try to attach, like pretend it's a certain action section, but we attach with the script. So it just execute this one. That's called a DOM. Okay, just we try to attach to it and then let the browser thinking, okay, it's just like part of the website, but it can be doesn't exist. We try to inject it. Okay, so it's one way. Then we need to handle it with the path. I will share this one later. Because this one, 3 of this you are going to use, like try to implement and try to run it on your server side. So try to let it open and then test. First one is the using an SQL injection, and then second one is the XSS. But for XSS, we have 3 different types. So you have to use these 3 to host it on your server. And the next step is how can you to prevent those like injection. Okay, so how can I make sure? This is one example I show you, like it's the same called a reflected one. So when I read, if you still remember, if I try to put the script, so I can still able to show the content of it, but instead of execute it. Okay, so that's what you need to do to modify. So we can use like replace, change the bracket, the arrow one to text. So it's able to change like from attached script to content, plain text. That's what you need to do. So I will. Right now I didn't upload it, but I will later for your project. Like you can refer it and then copy the code and then modify. So first one is test it, and second, how can you change it? Okay, and you can put into your document. I will open, I will see, because I'm thinking, when you're working, well, I think actually maybe the workload is not that much when you modify, and also it's not really challenging. Yes. Okay, but so that I didn't put it as a good project, so more like the independent. But let me know if you think it's too much work, or they're good enough. For
I didn't follow you. What was that?
Okay, so for the project you need to do is I gave you the sample code, so they are really, all of them have a risk to being like have an injection. Okay, so you need to first you need to follow the, like, use my code I gave you, provide to you. So like one is a host like on your server, so you can test it by yourself. How can we do the injection? Okay, so most of the command you can just follow me like using a script, and then like have an alert pops out. So just put it in the document. How can we do the injection? Second is that you need to modify the source code. So how can you modify your source code and protect your API server? Okay, so I have some solution, and how can, yeah.
So you say modify the source code. I can take anything you give me for a script. I can utilize that. But you can tell me how to utilize it. However, I'm not familiar with any of this HTML on basically. This looks like a random language. I don't understand how to.
Yeah.
I can read C++ and a little bit of Java, but I don't have any.
Yeah, you don't have an idea.
I'm familiar with Linux, but this I don't. So if you're asking me,
It's a Node.js, and don't worry about that, because I don't want to give you something that you never did. So just like the one I gave you the example, the first one we executing will be this one. Okay, so let me see. And I try not to give you something that you never see, or like I won't cover in the lab. Then, of course, I will give you some like sample, like something like this, or like I will remove this part. So I give you some functions of what you need to do, like search a little bit, and I will give you the hints. Okay, if I want to replace it, then what do you need to replace it? So that means that you don't have to worry too much about the syntax itself. Like this, Node.js actually is using the JavaScript, but we the one I gave you somebody changed to EC6. ES6 is a new like style. That syntax change. You may not familiar with it, but I just like at least I give you some sample right here, so you can refer to and try to explain what's the idea in behind. So,
I can explain what's behind thinking that.
okay, so if you are challenging, so that's asking if you like maybe not that good. I would like to like working as a group, like 2 or 3 together, so you can like do it together, discuss. And these are things, because when you are hacking, that's another thing I don't want to like. If you don't know, that's the best, because you never know what's the server really working, like executing over there. So one thing is trying to hack. Like but I already give you all the example like how to hack it, because I gave you the sample code, and also like how can I inject it like with different type. So most of them like maybe one is like passed by the URL. So the one using a virtual DOM, so it will be the URL, and then some of them they will input by the input box, right? Okay, so if you look at this part, like mainly we just like do them replace, we'll handle the string. So first you need to have an idea. So if you have idea about like Java, maybe even Java, I think Linux too, you can replace the character, right? So do you have an idea about how to replace the, like in the string that you need to with the string replace certain character? No idea. Okay. When we then we need to go back to programming. Okay. I try to, maybe I just let you do it as a group so you can discuss. And just one thing I will try to, if you think it's not enough, I will try to cover in the lab. But I will try to make sure all this lecture to upload to a server. I will tell you all the steps, like all the steps you need to do. And I just let when I do the demonstration, I will give you the one with the risk and how can we do injection. And I will give you some reference example, so you don't have to say I have to like program everything by yourself. And I will give you some example like this. How can you replace it? So actually, one of it you can reuse this one. Yeah, because this one is the solution. This one is for the reflect XSS. Yeah, and of course you can add more. Like let's say this one are only taking care of the script, right? Maybe there's something possible can inject into it, that you can like handle those special characters. Okay, but most of the time we can able handle all of this because when we need to execute a script, then we will have the tag, tag. Yeah, so those tag always comes. The reason why we basically when we handle all this, we can fix all the issue because when we try to inject let's say if I want to inject a script right here. So if I want to inject a script, so if I can replace this one or replace all this, so you see, okay, so if I once I replace it like this, so it turns out like when the system or like the computer, they will save the shape like this, like the content in this way. So it won't treat it as a executable syntax, but just a plain text. But here's the idea. So first thing I want to let you know is the idea, like why it works. And then
So those replace statements are working to replace the less than sign that was initially up there. So you have, I guess I can kind of understand. So if you have the dot replace and then it has a slash, whatever symbol is in between the two slashes, you're going to replace it with something else.
yeah, the original code. So if you refer to the like some code of it, I'm not sure if you have idea. If you copy the URL, have you seen some like special symbols? Like when the copy, so those like they will treat it. Okay, when you see it, so it will be a special character. Sometimes it's more like a special character. But when we save it as a plain text, we have the special combination. So if you know a space for HTML, so do you know what's the space? If you see a space, if you see some space, actually for HTML, we have special combination letters. So let me create new tag HTML space. And so you will see right here, like sometimes we have like with the like percentage 20 and then encoding reference. Let me see if there's some special character. So right here, for those all the special character, we have the special like symbol after to represent it. Okay, so when you look at it, it's the same. It's a space or like some special character, but when the system read it, it's another type. So it's a different encryption. Okay. That's what you need to do. Like I want to like study a little bit is about okay, if I want to replace it like this, then just refer to a table. Okay. If I want to replace some special character, then you can just refer to the table and then replace it. Okay. So that's like the minimal things that I let you to do. So you don't have to like write all the complete code for yourself. So you can just do copy and paste, but you need to learn how to replace something. Okay, that's what try to let you to do for your project. So have an idea. Okay, first thing is like how can they do the injection? You need to know how it works. Then how can we prevent it? I will give you like all the labs because I need to, if you want to like start earlier, so like in every week. So next week we have one more. Okay, and I try to cover it in the lab so you can try to follow, like at least you set up and then know how it works, and you can start earlier. Like if you want to do earlier, you can do it. But like in all the lab, I will cover all the knowledge you need. Also, I will go through again one more time is like how can we have a protection? Like when we learn security, not only like what's the possible risk, but also how can we prevent it? Okay, like those like mechanism and also this way. Okay. Last time in the lab we don't have enough time, so that's why I would like go back. Like even for this like store, reflect, and dawn, how can we prevent it? Also, I will do a pen and show you those code. Okay, and all those hints, everything will be available from the video, so you can pause, check, and copy it. Okay, so
So for the project, like, it's gonna be actually like on our server, right? Like
Yeah.
AWS.
Yeah, or you can just run it locally. So
Oh.
yeah, because I'm not say I'm not really checking yourself as executing, so you don't have worry, because I know maybe some of you like just want to stop or like exit. Yeah, I think when is the new October, so I think it refreshed the limit. I think yeah, so it's not coming out the limit like over 70%, 80%. So if you see it from pop out when you connect that one is the usage of your resource, the storage, but not the limit. But sometimes the AWS will send you the email like by the end of the month, like how many percent of your server that using. And
all the instructions and stuff for the project are being posted as like a sign up eventually, right? Or is it just like
lecture, I will try to say like use part of it like in the new assignment. I will cover like part of it, and also most of them refer to the lab, like the lab. So I would say the video, so you can like refer back to the video, and also I will tell you the like kind of like 70–80% is the solution. Okay, but I will recommend but when I gave you, I will remove this part. Okay. Just like if I gave you, then I will give you something like this. So it will look like this. Okay. So I think at least like when we study programming, and then if you want to learn like this, at least minimal, I like you try to Google and look at it. Okay. For the string, if you search like Java or JS, like HTML, text or a string dot replace, they will give you some example, right? So I think this is a minimum thing you can able to search it, even you don't know the language, but you can like able to refer online, right? So if you do have a like difficulty to doing this, then I always like welcome you, like ask in the class. So that's why I let you tell you the project earlier, so we can start to prepare for it. Like, of course, you can do it in the last moment, like by the end of deadline, yes. But if you have earlier, and then you can start to do it, and you have any question, and you can ask, that I can help you in the class, like help you to fix it, or you can set up some make an appointment with me that I can help you to answer your question. Do you think it's good doing it this way? Okay, yeah. So I wish, of course, like if you have any problem or you think they're too difficult, then you're feel free. Yeah. And I don't know if you look at this type, do you want to do it as a group or just individual? So here's the thing. I can create, if you want to do it as a group, then I can create a group, you can assign. So, but I don't think it's really challenging. I know some of you are like really good at programming, like really easy to pick up things. Maybe some of you maybe have a slightly difficulty. If you are special, then you can, or like send me an email. We like to form a group, submit as a group. It's okay, but I will give you slightly more challenge, like difficult. I'll change it. Okay, individual. So I will give you most of like those. I give you the sample code. Because for this class, you are not really learning how to do programming. So I don't want to like give you a case. Everything start with the scratch. I give you all the sample code, but you need to do a slightly research. Okay, so it's okay. Then you're good to go. Okay.
Yeah.